If the road were easy, everyone would do it. We don't shy away from challenges. We dive in. And now, live from an undisclosed location in FEMA Region 10, it's your host, Joshua Michael.
Welcome to Non-Compliant America. I'm your host, Joshua Michael, and we got a jam-packed show. We're going to be getting into the Trump tariffs. We're going to talk about the political persecution and how the media is trying to push the economy into a collapse similar to the Great Depression, similar to the 1982 situation, and just how the media plays such a role, or at least they used to, and I think that's why they're freaking out, that's why they're getting mad, is because it's not working, it's not as effective as it goes into. We want to talk about the trade war going on with China and what Trump has done effectively. Most of you probably heard, it's been all over the news. Everybody's talking about it, so we're going to talk about it. Also, I want to get into the ECB digital currency that's coming. The European Central Bank has announced that the digital euro will be ready by October 25. Now, this is something I've been warning about. As you know, next month, the Real ID system infrastructure to be able to go into federal buildings, to be able to fly on an airplane. If you don't have a Real ID, they won't let you on. They're going to turn you back and make you go upgrade to the Real ID. Why is the Real ID so important? Meanwhile, they're handing out millions and millions of illegal social security numbers to illegals that are crossing the border, yet you need to have a new tracking system that I think is going to play a part with this ECB that Europe, because as you know, everything always starts with Europe. The tyrannical test pilots is the Europe areas and Australia. They've tried it in different places in Africa. It doesn't work. They rejected it. As you know, I believe it was Nigeria. Don't quote me on that. I don't have the exact headline, but they tried going full digital currency, and it was massively rejected. Completely fell apart after about 6 months, but it was a beta test. And it's really just a social engineering experiment similar to the COVID experiment. How far are they able to push you? How far are you willing to go? How deep are you willing to accept your servitude before you stop exercising it? As you know, the minute that we all said, no, we're not going to wear these stupid masks anymore, suddenly everything got lifted in most cases. I mean, some of the medical institutions held on. There's still the weird liberals that are driving in their car by themselves down the freeway with masks on, you know, or you go to a restaurant and you see somebody wearing a mask still, because they've been captured. And so how is this going to play a role in the economy? What does it have to do with what's going on with the economy? You know, Goldman, this is a funny story. So Goldman predicted, this is from a day or two ago. Where's it at? Oh yeah, they called a U.S. recession. This was 2 days ago. Goldman Sachs called for a U.S. recession at 12:57 p.m. 73 minutes later, they rescind their recession call. Because as you know, the stock market was struggling. Everybody was panicking, everything else. Boom, Trump announced a 90-day pause, reverting all the previous non-recession baselines. So what does that mean? In case you haven't figured it out, the tariffs are being used very effectively. And yes, as volatile as our system is, he's not asleep at the wheel. He's not rubber stamping all these executive orders and all these things. He actually knows what he's doing. Because as you know, the big player in the whole game is China. All this stuff is geared toward China. And the ships turned around on the Pacific Ocean, went back to China. Apple is airdropping a crap ton of iPhones in to try to obfuscate the tariffs and move that. What the heck is going on? My computer just freaking crashed. I hate technology sometimes. Yeah, I'm getting hacked right now. This is crazy. Okay. Sorry, my screen just went black. But with the tariffs, it's simply a tool. It's a mechanism. But understand, we haven't even got to balance yet. Trump's still allowing a 10% tariff with all these countries. We are not at a true zero. But as the world panicked, as you know, you could see the whole world panicked. Everybody panicked. Oh my gosh, the stock market. I would rather the stock market crash by 80%, which is what's predicted to happen. And it's almost a necessity, something that needs to happen in order for us to be able to root out not just the corruption, but all the middlemen tied in, holding this country hostage. It's been absolutely captured, which is why it's important to get into precious commodities like gold and silver. And with gold and silver, oh man, my freaking computer is trying to pull these things up. With gold and silver, as you know, gold reached an all-time high. It's over 3,200 right now, and I think it's going to go up definitely in the next couple quarters. It raised $100 an ounce in a day, which is pretty substantial. Silver's at 32 and some change. It's been fluctuating. It went down to 29, but it's risen because of the volatility and because of the value of it. That's what you do in a volatile market. So a lot of people would suggest getting into the stock market, which could be a good thing. I think it's only going to go up, but there's still a bunch of cards that are set to be played in regards to the economy on that. So Peter Schiff was talking about the emphasis and the root cause behind the American trade deficit, which, as you know, QE unlimited money printing, what that's doing to inflation, what that's doing to the price of goods, cost of goods. As you know, things are finally starting to go down because they're not blowing up major farming, manufacturing facilities like chickens and beef getting slaughtered in Texas and all this crazy stuff. He contends that the excessive spending and underinvestment at home leaves the country overly dependent on foreign producers, which brings to another point. Are they going to start making iPhones in America with 125% tariff on China? Yeah, probably. Will the cost go up a little bit? Possibly. Will that create industry? Will that create business here? Yes, it will. But you can't just go stir up a manufacturing facility overnight. It's going to take some time. It's going to take years. It's going to take years for them to get those car manufacturing facilities up and operational. Unless Elon's in charge of it, then it'll take weeks. Because as you know, he builds things extremely fast, extremely efficient, and extremely under budget. Which I think some of that should be applied in the space, because sometimes things don't take as long as they should. For example, all the highway construction going on shouldn't take 5 years, 10 years to fix a road. That's the bureaucracy. That's the part that we need to root out, because that's keeping progress from happening. Should fix the road and move on. Should take 6 months, maybe. So the reason that we have the horrific trade deficits is because the nation, we spend too much and save too little, which is very true. A lot of you guys are splurging, buying things you don't need, spending money you don't have. The buy now, pay later system and industry has boomed exponentially. 2019, it was about a $2 billion industry. By 24, it was a $124 billion industry. Buy now, pay later, credit cards, credit debt, credit deficit. The fact of the matter is we only need to look in the mirror to realize that we are part of the problem. You're not going to just get anything and everything whenever you want. You have to have some discipline, and we have to teach our kids to have discipline. We have to teach our kids to be fiscally responsible. Have them do chores around the house. Give them an allowance. Teach them to save their money. Have them buy the stuff that they want, and or save the money for, a big item that they may need. I teach my kids, I've taught them since they were 2 years old on how to save and the importance of it. and they would want to go buy candy with their money and everything else. I said, okay, you get to choose, but understand this other thing that you may or may not want in the future, you're not going to be able to afford that because you're going to spend all your money on candy that you don't need. So teaching them how to do that and giving them some value and teaching them some value within that, I think is, it's an important life lesson. And we have to eat our words too. We have to be able to have accountability on that front as well. By doing that, I do still suggest, even though gold's at an all-time high, I think it's only going to get higher. Personally, I would invest in silver. Silver is a better investment, better ratio right now, and it's good. But they are shifting their focus into the gold markets, which is very important. So what does that mean for you? What does that mean for the future? Only time will tell because, as we know, we're in a trade war. A big tech tariff exemption has just been released. Trump exempts phones, computers, and chips from new tariffs, which is great because that's what we want. That's what the economy needs. Smartphones, computers will be exempt from tariffs. He imposed a 145% tariff on products from China, a move that was poised to take a toll on the companies like Apple, which, as you know, Tim Cook has been working directly with Donald Trump. He's met with him a couple times at the White House since when he was president-elect, and now President Trump exempted those things, components, which is a great thing. The guidance issues late Friday evening comes after Trump imposed his tariff on China. Move threaten the toll on tech giants, which makes iPhones and most of its other products in China. So that's interesting that he's able to make that exception, which Apple is an American company. They should be manufacturing in America. Anyways, we all know that. This is pressure to hopefully be able to do that. Now, the major argument, and I hear a lot of naysayers that talk about that we don't have workers. We don't have workers. All this industry comes back. Yes, it's a great thing. You'll have better paying jobs, better opportunities. But let me give you an example of this. Yesterday, I had to find a belt for a alternator, just a standard alternator belt. We needed a specific length because we were measuring, repositioning the alternator and had to get a new belt size, right? So we cut it, measured it, everything else, took it. We went to O'Reilly's. Those guys are so incompetent there, it actually will make your head spin. We're waiting for 45 minutes to an hour just to even be seen at the desk because there's no efficiency in their checkout because we just simply wanted to get something. Then we go to AutoZone. Those guys are incompetent. Then we go to O'Reilly's in North Salem. Those guys are a little bit better. Then we go to AutoZone and it smells like BO in there. Nobody knows anything. What I'm getting at is that as all this industry comes, it's going to be great only if they're able to fill the manufacturing demand with workers. Now, the big issue that I see, and I see it everywhere, the sheer incompetence and the entitlement in the modern generation, in the younger generations. They don't know how to work. They don't know how to think outside the box. Everybody's glued to their phone, everything else. There is a big, huge gap in that, in how to be an obedient, good worker and be efficient and effective. And companies are going to be struggling with this as the industry comes in because, yes, all the opportunities there, but there's nobody that's going to actually fill it, right? People want to be minimum. They want to get paid to do the bare minimum of everything because there's a complacency within our future generations to where they have basically concluded, I'll never own a house. I'm going to be a renter. I'm going to be a grifter. There's no sense in trying to build anything. It doesn't matter. These bankers control everything, and just this sheer black pill hopelessness in which I'm hoping, and we should all hope to get out of that mindset, because that in itself is also a tack on our futures and humanity. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Non-Compliant America, where we rip the veil off the lies they feed you daily. This ain't your mainstream snooze fest. It's raw, uncut truth, straight from the shadows, guided by the divine hand of God himself. We're exposing the elites, the cover-ups, and the stuff they don't want you to know. Buckle up, because the deep state's shaking in their boots, and we're just getting started. You ready to see the world for what it really is?
All right, so I want to get into this ECB digital currency that's coming. Very important, huge 911 red flag. People need to be talking about this more, because I think as this collaborates and is monitored through AI databases and AI systems, and as AI is growing exponentially every single day, it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. That is now going to be a problem. And if we give the government or any agency, organization, outside private organization, everything, if we start giving them more and more of our identity and more control, we're going to be losing more and more freedoms. That is just the sheer reality of everything. So Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank, has announced the new digital euro will be ready by October 25. However, she stressed the importance of moving forward with the legislative process that would impose the digital euro. They have to impose it, urging European Commission, as I said, they tried this in Africa, the European Council and member states' parliaments to accelerate the laws and directives that are required to make digital euro viable. Why the rush? That's a good question. European Central Bank's losses have risen to 7.8 billion euros, and the European Monetary Authority has posted the second consecutive loss, while sovereign bonds in Europe have slumped again the first 2 months of 25. The ECB needs digital euro to wash away its disastrous policy of the past decade. So how is this going to help? It's not. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. You lose more rights. That's the thing. Second reason is because the confidence of the ECB's policy is declining. So as people are becoming more privy to the digital infrastructure and the tyrannical, catastrophic takeover of humanity through technology, more and more people are going to be rejecting this. And so they're trying to push it through, just as they would as they're relinquishing control and losing the grip on humanity. Thanks to X and Elon Musk and all these great independent reporters and people that are actually asking real questions, trying to push the narrative, push the agenda, as we discover how the CIA and the FBI and all these embed groups, the USAID, how it's been funding the disorder in all these countries around the world. More and more people are like, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, most people agree with me. It doesn't feel like it because we've been put into these digital gulags. Thus, the digital euro is critical to impose the use of euro as a currency, expanding the control of citizens and disguising fiscal imbalances with dangerous tools by the monetary institution that has lost most of its credibility in the past 5 years. So they're parallel constructing the effects and benefits of Bitcoin in trying to compete with that with the euro, but that kind of defeats the entire purpose. A digital currency like Bitcoin was absolutely created to be an independent, non-centralized banking system. Remember, the ECB's mandate is price stability, but inflation in the euro has exceeded 22% in the past 4 years. At the same time, the European sovereign bond index has fallen by 14% since 22. There's another important reason to rush this digital euro. Global central banks investment firms are concerned that the European states will be confiscating assets of the Russian central bank, setting a dangerous precedent that could affect the assets of non-European nations. As foreign funds fearing confiscation may leave the European financial system, the digital euro may be used as a tool to impose the use of currency even if demand declines. You will own nothing and be happy. So let's unpack that. That is simply just a tool and a mechanism. They're basically stating that they need to initiate the digital currency system to where there will be no recourse for citizens or people with assets to be able to combat against that. They will just seize the assets because you're going to give everything over to the digital banking system. In the European Union, where limits of freedoms of expression and the cancellation of elections are already a concern, the CBDC can be seen as surveillance masquerading as currency. Bingo. It's exactly what it is. We saw it in Canada. We've seen it in the United States. Laura Loomer getting her bank account or PayPal, her everything basically stripped away, taken away. Same with Alex Jones, Tommy Robinson. You know, all these political outspoken individuals have been targeted by this type of system. Now what this will do with the embedded AI system, they will be able to target people almost effortlessly in being able to debank them. And then once you get the infrastructure coming in, now you're going to have censorship, surveillance, everything that you buy. They will set restrictions on it. This is the goal. This is the goal. You only be able to buy so much meat per year. You only be able to buy a certain amount of things that are qualified. They'll have curated stores that will only allow you to buy certain things, which will then be able to allow them to direct the markets. It's kind of like the supplement industry and getting approval for known things that are set to help people with cancer or pain and tolerance and energy and, you know, libido, stamina, stuff like that. They get curated by what's approved and not approved. You see how that works? If you're not in the club, you don't get to sell your products. And so this is just an escalation of that, and centralized management of the financial data under the CBDCs raises significant privacy concerns. CBDC supporters say that they can improve the know your customer anti-money laundering processes. Well, 10 years ago, they considered buying Bitcoin as money laundering. Remember the scare? Oh, drug dealers and cartel are using Bitcoin. It's a bad thing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Well, we've broken that narrative now. Nobody feels that way. Nobody thinks about that because it's become so mainstream. And this is an attempt for them to try to combat against that. Be right back. Talk about a little bit of local politics, things going on. I was trying to get a friend of mine who I went to school with, who testified on the SB 1154. I was trying to get her on, her and her husband, Colby. I'm going to play part of the testimony because I think it's very powerful. The deadline has come and gone, but this is for SB 1154 in regards to the Oregon well system and the DEQ oversight. So basically, the specifics, if you're a well owner or part of a community well system, this impacts you. They are also trying to stop any new wells going in right now. So any of you dreaming of buying land, one day, forget about your ability to install a well. So this is going to be a very similar infrastructure that they're trying to push, very similar infrastructure, the way that you buy firearms. They're going to put an agency in front of it to where you have to get the permit and the acceptance in order to dig a well on your own property and harvest water. This bill would allow for agencies like DEQ and others to come onto your property with or without your permission, run tests on your well, septic system, and soil. This alone violates the Fourth Amendment constitutional right, protecting us against illegal search and seizure. If this passes, they're saying they don't need a warrant or probable cause to come onto your property to try and sniff out a problem which may or may not exist. The end goal with language that may have been taken out of this bill to put in flow meters on wells as well, which that then opens up to regulation, water conservation regulation. You can only have so many gallons of water a month, and then therein lies the control. Now, I think it's super powerful, and it's very important that people hear the testimony, because I think it's very impactful, and hopefully we can get these guys on to talk about it. And CJ Nugent has been the head of this whole thing, really at the forefront. He's a well driller, which is drastically going to impact his business. And isn't it so interesting? Anytime you ask anybody, I posted on my Facebook. I got a Facebook back, by the way. I posted on my Facebook that name one thing that Oregon is good at. And a lot of people say, the vegetation, the trees, it's a beautiful state, it's all of these things. But if we aren't able to enjoy those things as indentured servants to the state of this captured system, I'm rooting for the Greater Idaho movement, by the way, then how valuable is it? Is the beauty of nature and being surrounded by trees enough to justify having no rights and freedoms, having so much restriction and government oversight, which basically eliminates your ability to live, function, and operate as a free individual, and all the constitutional violations that go on? Is that really worth the beauty? But it's really hard. It's really hard to be an hour away from the snow and an hour away from the beach. That's really hard. We got dunes, we got all this stuff. Oregon is a really remarkable state as the state. But as the government, it's treacherous. It's absolutely horrible. And I'm only probably about a month away until I'm going to talk about some of the political persecution that's been going on that's involved my family. We're going to be going through all the egregious, ridiculous things that the court system has done to me to try to break my family apart. And we're going to go through it all. I'm going to submit all the transcripts. I'm going to submit everything for you guys to go through, as well as do a bunch of videos on it and start naming names. But I have to wait till this filing is done and complete. We're in the appeal. We're on the home stretch. It's looking very, very good. There's absolutely no way that they're going to not reverse this entire thing, because after you guys see it, after you read, and I'm going to go through exactly what happened, you're going to be like, holy crap. It's not going to surprise anybody, because again, we have this Stockholm syndrome as Oregonians, and it's really sickening. It's sickening to me. And I'm actually getting tired of hearing about it. When people just blanket statements and be like, oh, well, that's just Oregon. Like, that's just how it is. I hate hearing that. It's such a defeated mindset. It's such a weak beta mindset that you have to break out of that. You have to get away from that. You have to get away from that mindset. Because what that's doing is that means that they've already defeated you. That means you have no will, you have no desire, you have nothing. You might as well hang up your hat and, anyways, I do want to play this testimony. I think it's very powerful. It's worth listening to, but it talks about this well system in which they're trying to just further take away your rights. They are not already allowing us to harvest lumber, which is one of the best things about Oregon, is all the trees that we have to offer. And the lumber that they do harvest goes out of the country. It should go to the states. Should be being used to build homes down the street from the lumber mill. Don't you think that would make sense as far as transport goes, everything else? But it just make it so difficult and nearly impossible for us to harvest the resources here. But take a listen to this testimony. It's about 5 minutes long. It's both Colby NCAP, which we'll try to get on here soon to talk about it and talk about the things that they have.
As a resident and an owner of a well and a septic system.
We need your first and last name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Colby Court. I come here not just as a resident and owner of a well